How's it going? So, I wanted to share just, I guess, my thoughts that the stuff going on in my heart and mind, I guess. I want to read something to you. Listen to these things and understand them, you servants of the Lord. Here is the Lord's word. Accept it. Don't disbelieve the things that the Lord speaks about. Look, the disasters are approaching and won't be delayed. A woman in the 9th month of pregnancy, when the hour for giving birth arrives, experiences great pains around her womb for 2 or 3 hours beforehand. But when the infant is ready to come forth from the womb, she doesn't delay for a moment. In the same way, these disasters won't delay to come forth on the earth, but the world will groan and pangs will envelop it. Hear the word, my people. Prepare yourselves for battle, and in the midst of disasters be like strangers on earth. Let the person who sells be like a person who is about to run away. Let the person who buys be like a person who is about to lose. Let one who does business be as one who makes no profit, one who builds as the one who won't get to live in the building, one who sows as one who will not reap, one who prunes as one who will not harvest, those who get married as people who will have no children, and those who don't marry as though they were widowed. Because those who toil for no reason. Foreigners will gather their fruits, plunder their wealth, knock down their houses, and take their children captive. For in captivity and hunger they will produce their offspring. Those who transact business do so only to be plundered. The longer they adorn their cities and houses and possessions and persons, the more I will be enraged against them on account of their sins, says the Lord. Just as a proper and good woman is enraged at a woman who is promiscuous, so justice will be enraged against sin when it tries to make itself beautiful, and will accuse it to its face, since he who defends will come, hunting up the sins on the earth. Therefore, don't be like it or its ways. Look just a little longer, and sin will be removed from the earth, and justice will rule over us. Let sinners not deny that they have sinned, for God will burn coals of fire over the head of those who say, I haven't sinned before God and his glory. Look, the Lord knows all the works of humanity, their devices, their plotting, and their hearts. He said, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let heaven be made, and it was made. At his word the stars were established, and he knows their number. He examines the abyss and its treasures. He measures the sea and its contents. He shut up the sea in the midst of the waters, and suspended the earth over the waters by his word. He stretched out the heaven like a vaulted ceiling, and sank its pillars into the waters. He put springs of water in the desert and lakes on the top of mountains to send forth rivers from on high, so that the earth might drink. He formed the human being and put a heart in the middle of his body, and gave him spirit, life, and intelligence, and the breath of God Almighty, who made all things and examines the things that are hidden in dark corners. He certainly knows your designs and what you think in your hearts. I think I'll stop right there for right now. So here's one thing that it's interesting to me. I didn't think about it until right now, or today. So, when someone walked up to you 5 years ago and said, I think the earth's flat, it sounded really awkward and weird, didn't it? But now when they say it, it doesn't sound so weird and awkward, and there's a reason why. Because it's actually true. It's actually flat. And this is something that I would say that, like, the best definition of Satan's dominion that he has over this world is not being able to see that simple truth. That's how powerful the deception is. So, let's see if I have that up here. There. You know what? All this standing around, I need to get a chair to sit in because... Oh, that's much better. Okay, I'm just kidding. Maybe something that some people aren't understanding the way that I am, and it's like just a different way of looking at something. And when people talk about the end times, or they talk about Revelation, or they talk about the third temple, I just think that people aren't realizing something that's really clear, but unless you didn't think about it, you wouldn't have thought about it. The temple of God, when it's in Jerusalem, that's not Jerusalem on the earth. That's Jerusalem in the sky. New Jerusalem. And so in Revelation 11, I saw someone saying that it has to be like a physical Jerusalem, like on the ground here, and that you couldn't spiritualize it. That's what they said. And I said to myself, I said, it is spiritual. It's like a spiritual place. It's in the heavenly realm. So it's not part of the earth, as in where we live, and, you know, the physical material world. It's up in the sky. And we know that because of Revelation. I'm just going to go over some verses too. In Revelation 2 or 3, verse 12, him that overcometh will... Oh, you know what? I better check to make sure that I... Okay, good. For a second, I thought you guys might not have been able to hear me that whole time. Him that overcometh... Oh, that's what I was going to do. Hi, Grace Styles and artist of El Elyon. Good to see you guys. The temple of God's up in the sky, you guys. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God. There's one place where it says it comes down out of heaven from God. And then there's another place. Sorry. I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Hey, Roderick, how you doing? Hey, Anthony. Good to see you guys. Revelation 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. Now, so there's two places, because John saw it coming down out of heaven. Jesus said in Revelation 3 that it comes down out of heaven from my God. So in Revelation 11, when he says, And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar and them that worship therein. That is New Jerusalem. Let me keep reading. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. So this is where someone's interpreting something different than I'm interpreting it. I'm interpreting it in context with the whole story. In the book of Revelation, John wasn't writing about Jerusalem on the ground ever. I mean, unless I'm not thinking of a spot. It started out right away. He was in the Isle of Patmos, and it says he was in the Spirit on the Lord's day and heard behind him the voice as of a trumpet. And so Jesus dictates all these letters, and that was where we were just reading about New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God. Okay, so that the only time I think that it's mentioning Jerusalem is there's a couple times in Revelation 11. There's a place, I forgot what verse, but this Jerusalem that this is talking about is the one up in the sky that comes down, and it didn't come down yet in Revelation 11. So do you see what I'm saying? If a person says, because there's a lot of other verses that from other books in the Bible that go along with Jerusalem, but it is Jerusalem, but it's the 2020 Jerusalem, not the one that's on the ground, like where they have the Temple Mount and all the like the arguments or the over that location on the ground. It's irrelevant. That's not at all what this is talking about. So if you think about it as the one that is in the book of Revelation, that Jerusalem, New Jerusalem, you got to picture it being up in the sky. So when it says, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not. Sorry, I lost my place. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. Where's that holy city? It's New Jerusalem that cometh down out of heaven from my God. So what do you guys think about that? Which Jerusalem do you guys think he's talking about? Hi, Cindy. Or did I say Cindy? Yeah, I saw Cindy Heeman, and I saw I think I said hi to you guys. Roderick, Grace Styles, Anthony, artist of El Elyon. So here's when this whole thing's different. New Jerusalem's being trodden underfoot right now, and it is only one thing that's doing it: space exploration. If you actually believe the book of Revelation, hey Tim Pack, if you actually believe it, what happens in the book of Revelation? Oh, that's why I made a small list here. Hold on a minute. Let me try to turn this list on. These are just a few things that I wrote down. Okay, good. September 23rd, 2017. If you're not familiar, just go into any search engine and type in Revelation 12 sign, and you'll get a quick, simple idea of what we're talking about. John describes something in Revelation 12, seeing something. He saw something, and what we've learned and what I believe is that thing that he saw, we already saw that, and it was on September 23rd, 2017. So I'll just go over it really quick. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So he's obviously talking about heaven, up in the sky where the stars are, and the moon was under her feet, and so she was obviously up in the sky. So I think it was Virgo, that the stars lined up in a way that matched with that, and that's really, in a nutshell, that's what it was. But now, see how I have number 2 there, dragon in heaven? This is one that I don't know how people in the Christian, the believers or whatever, I don't know how they can't see this. There's something spiritual blocking them from seeing these things. Because, like, when we're talking about flat earth, think about it. That came down out of heaven from God. And it's not built with hands. It's not a spinning space ball. It's a different kingdom. Right? Think about it. I'm saying people say they believe in the end of days. Well, there's so much that we already know about that. We know all about it. And things like this. If you believe that September 23rd, 2017 was something, if you believe it was a fulfillment of foretold things, then the rest of the book of Revelation, continue to believe what that book says and apply it in the same way that you applied Revelation 12, 1 and 2 to September 23rd, 2017. Apply it to reality in the real world we live in, and it becomes something. Let's see. Because things like this, and you guys have heard me say this, but John said the next thing that he saw, he said there appeared another wonder in heaven. He was talking about the same place where the stars and the sun and the moon are. And he says, and behold, that means he's seeing it, a great red dragon. Verse 4 says his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. These are real things in our world, you guys. Real things in our world that are happening just in the last 5 years. These things are fulfilling in a way that most people are unwilling to notice. So when John says the next chapter, he says he saw a beast making fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. John saw this with his eyes. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So, you know where my mind goes, right to. He saw a red dragon. You know, SpaceX they had a program to go to Mars called Red Dragon. And all this testimony of these guys. Oh, here's something that's important. I'm not going to take the time to go to it, but someone commented on my YouTube channel on an old video, because I was saying in the video, I was saying not to interpret this to be anything other than what it says, because it's not something to interpret, it's a testimony. John's saying, giving us his testimony about what he saw in the vision. And so, like, people say, oh, this stands for this, or don't do any of that. Like, symbolic that it does that on its own. Like, I'm just trying to think of an example. Let's see. Oh, like he sees he sees war in heaven. He sees Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Think about this. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Well, if we go talk about the dragon, the only one that's up in heaven, the only one. Which dragon is up in heaven? I probably have a video. Because there's only one that I know of. And I mean, you guys, I've been cleaning up my computer. I deleted so much stuff that I needed to delete forever. So I'm organizing my computer a little bit. And I found out that YouTube doesn't let you, or me, upload anything longer than 12 hours long. Let's see here. Here. Like, oh, okay, this is probably a video I should have played. Let me turn this off, and let me just see what this is. I don't even know what this is. I don't know if I have sound.
A woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Okay, let's see. So, they named this dragon. Okay, back, this one, where, yeah, right here. This is that mission I was talking about called Red Dragon. And this little horn right here, that's wherever, right here, that's the dragon capsule. And okay, what I'm saying is you don't need to interpret anything here, because let me show you another. Okay, I've learned that the 4 winds of heaven are real, and they hold up the heavens. So I'm just gonna play this video. Whoa. With the sound off. Okay, do you see what it's doing to the sky? Well, it's just an exhaust plume. Yeah. No, that's war. Let me read you something in Revelation 7. Because what you're seeing on your screen is war in heaven. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So then the children of Israel are sealed in their foreheads. So those 4 winds, those same 4 winds that are being held by those angels, this is war in heaven. That plume is not supposed to be there. So yeah, not supposed to be there. I'm checking the chat out. Yeah, you know, to me, I need to sit down again. Oh, yeah, there we go. Um, I feel like saying, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Because 5 years ago, you would have said, you're crazy. Just because of one belief that I had, that the earth is not a spinning space ball that you can't demonstrate and no one's ever seen as a ball. It's much easier to, all you have to do is a mind exercise. Water. Oh, yeah, sorry, Anthony. I was corrected. It's a pear, a spinning space pear. uh, if I could do that thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson does. Um, well, yeah, Artists of Alliances, but I don't. But what I don't understand is why the people would name rockets after biblical references. Well, it's actually far worse than that. They're not naming them after these. These are spirits of, they're Satans or whatever. They're fallen angels. I'm not saying the metal that's constructing each rocket is the spirit of the kings of the Medes. I'm saying that what did the angels, the fallen angels, teach men how to do? Work with metals. That's what this is. It's the ultimate wizardry, and it is rocketry. It's trying to escape the earth that we were created in, that was created for us. It's trying to escape that and climb into God's world. That's what they're doing, essentially, or what they believe they're doing. Yes, metal. Because if you think about what is it they have to do, why is rocketry or space exploration so expensive and so over, like, it's just too much? But it's because it is the very limit of our ability with the materials we have on the earth. So in the end, what ends up happening is the spirits of the kings of the Medes, like Media and Persia, that, to me, they're, in my mind, they're just fallen angels. They're false gods, that back in the day were not, they were on the earth, like they were physically on the earth or whatever, manifested on the earth. Right now, they are under chains of darkness, in darkness, and that's up there, up in the sky, which it's different than I thought too. And then you read verses like Isaiah 14 that tells you that hell moves from beneath to meet thee at thy coming, because it gets excited, because it's the abode of the dead, and they're getting out. Well, not really out. The earth's joining them. The earth is joining them, and they spend a lot of money to do that. They spend $350 billion a year or something like that to go to do the things we do in space. It's not a good thing at all. And flat earth, why is flat earth here? This is something people don't understand usually, but it makes very much sense to me, because of, like, people have their own preconceived ideas, or their, like, come here, buddy, got a kitty cat. This is my squeaker. Listen to him. Hey, buddy. Oh, you guys can't see it very good. Cupcake. She wants to rub her head on my beard. Yeah. So Jesus said, yeah, Anthony, good point. And you know what it says in that chapter? Look at the last verse of that chapter. That says that those waters, because they're going up and down, it changes the temperature of the water. And the wicked of the earth won't believe or know that those dark waters turn into a fire that burns forever. They're sinking into Sheol like early with space exploration. So that's why things like COVID-19 are probably here. I mean, I don't think anybody can say why people are dying in bulk amounts in certain parts of the world that normally wouldn't be dying, and people getting sick. But you know, in the way that we've been, I guess, the way we are in this world, we have an understanding about things. Like if we talked about the clouds, and I'd say, well, the clouds are like, I think it's water. I would say that it's water. Science would say that it's water. But the way that science would say that, like how it rains, is when these clouds, they're such small, blah, blah, blah. And then when they build up, then they are heavy enough to fall. Like, okay, that's the explanation that science gives. But what's really happening is angels are governing the parts of the earth that need water. And they do this. That's just part of what angels do. So, talk about water particles or whatever, but I'll tell you, it's much more than that. That's just like an explanation of what a human being can understand. And that's why this deception works so good in this world too. Because the human being thinks that they're smarter than these angels, and these angels they don't think twice about how, it's not even a challenge for them to deceive us. That's why we have to not listen to our ideas, but the ones that are written down for us. Artist of Elian says, do you think there are physical space aliens up there? No, I don't. I don't really think there's anything physical up there. About the closest thing you could say is physical is like the space station or satellites or these kind of things that they launch up there, and they think they're orbiting something, but they're not. They're with the path of the angels. The angels fly around that house, that crystal house of fire or whatever. It was made of crystal and fire. And the angels go in and out of that house. The angels encircle that house. And when we look up at the sky, the stars encircle Polaris, or whatever, the center of the sky. And then, of course, you'll get the argument from people that want to argue that Earth is a spinning space pair. They will say that because when you look south from the southern hemisphere, that they're spinning a different way. And I'm like, in my mind, the way I see the stars in the sky, they should spin a different way. It's almost like what I see in the sky is, no matter where I am, there's obviously a direction that the stars are going. And no matter where you are, they're all going the same direction from where you are on the ground. East, west, north, south. They're all going the same direction, whether you're in the southern or northern hemisphere. East, west, like they come up over the horizon on one side, they go down past the horizon on the other side. That direction is the same no matter where you live, right? So I don't like, and I think there's even more to it than that, because I think that the firmament is not such a simple thing, maybe, you know. Yeah, fallen angels, they fight up there in the firmament. The Ascension of Isaiah says that really clearly. I'm not going to open it up right now, but yeah. Oh yeah, Roderick, that's a very good point. What we call radiation, Roderick equates to biblical fire, but can't confirm. It's a good point. It could be. Yeah, you know what else, Anthony, about Enoch 67, it just reminded me of, is it says that the smell of sulfur was connected with those waters, those ones that turn to fire. And when they do the spacewalks, they say when they come back in that it smells like gunpowder or like a burnt steak, or a lot of different things they say. But that's where COVID-19 came from, probably, or whatever we're experiencing. Oh wow, that's quite the theory, Anthony. To make super soldiers. I don't know if they... See here, let me explain something, and I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. It's not about that. It's about... Who's they? These invisible people. And what I mean is, I don't think that there's any they anymore. There just isn't, actually. There's bad people. There's bad people, and some of them have money, and they get in charge of things, and they misuse their power, and there's bad people. But there is no, hey, clouds behind the sun. So yeah, it's a tough thing to... Okay, here's what I believe. I believe that this whole world is under a dominion, and we were all under it just the same. Let me go to... I got some more stuff to read out of 2nd Esdras a little bit. Because there's a time, and I would say that the time is that we're living in it, but it says here, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 5. But about the signs, look, the days will come when those who live on the earth will be seized with great terror. The way of truth will be hidden, and the land will be barren and devoid of faith. So that is, it goes right along with what Paul said. There would be a great falling away, or apostasy. And then someone would be standing in the temple of God. And so that's why it's so important. Where's the temple of God? In 2020, the temple of God is up in the sky. And actually, it's always been up in the sky. The sanctuary, the holy city. Now, the holy city has been on the ground. But in the end, it's not. In the end, it's in the sky, clearly, because it comes down out of the sky from God. So, when I see people saying these things, it's not that they're wrong, but it brings them down an entire different story, to an entirely different story. Like, so he's talking about the temple being rebuilt in Jerusalem on the ground here. And he starts talking about like someone that has a financial interest in that, and they're Muslim or whatever. It goes in a different direction than it seems to go. Two witnesses are going to give their testimony standing before God, and then the beast that comes up from the bottomless pit, the same beast that John saw coming up out of the sea, that overkills those two witnesses, or overtakes those two witnesses and kills them. And then they lie in the street for 3.5 days, I think it says. And then God says, "Come up hither." And they stood on their feet or whatever and ascended into the clouds. So when I read that, I don't think that the two witnesses are going to be here on the earth, because it says they're standing before the God of the earth. These are the two candlesticks that are where is that? These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. So that's mentioned in Zechariah too, I think. Where is that? Zechariah 4 or 5? 4. If I remember right. Or 3 maybe. We'll find out. I'm glad I went to Zechariah, because we're going to read a couple of things in Zechariah 12 too. But let's see, where is this? Free from the land of the north, for I spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven. Okay. Joshua the high priest. Let's see. What seest thou? Okay, yeah, it's chapter 4. Okay, and he said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. That's what that's talking about. So I answered and spake unto the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my Lord? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then he answered and spake unto me, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. Wait a minute. Did I skip a... No, I didn't. Sorry. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain. Plain. And he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, cryings, Grace, grace unto it. Moreover, the word of the Lord... Okay, that's not... Oh, okay, it's verse 11. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes emptied the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered and said, Knowest not what these be? I said, No, my Lord. Then he said, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. So that's definitely talking about... It's actually... He's seeing it. An angel showed him a vision of it. He's saying, What do you see? Do you know what it is? Like, the angels are always kind of... They always are kind of interesting in the manner in which they do things. It seems like they They always want them to measure. They always want them to measure something. Always want, and they want them to fast and to there's a lot of things, but okay, because in Revelation 11, again, this temple that we're talking about it's also mentioned in Ezekiel, and I'll show you which part I'm talking about. Okay, so you know how the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Well, we can see that God calls it an abomination in Ezekiel. Can't remember which chapter. Chapter 8. Yeah, chapter 8, verse 16. And he brought me. Okay, this is up in heaven too. Because at the beginning of chapter 8, he says that he put forth the form of a hand and took him by a lock of his head, and the Spirit lifted him up between the heaven and the earth, and brought me into visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looked toward the north. Okay, I could keep reading there, but there's quite a bit of abominations that he shows him. But the last one, check this out. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, because remember he said measure the outer court where the Gentiles are going to be trotting underfoot. Don't measure that, because it was given unto the Gentiles for 42 months. Okay, so they're obviously going to be doing something that they won't be doing once those 42 months are over. But let's see here. So there's these 25 men there. It says, between the porch and the altar were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east. Heliocentrism. Come out of her, my people. That's another thing. People think Babylon is also a place on the earth, and it's not. Babylon is the darkness up in the sky. It's that great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. And remember, the kings are horns. So that brings me back to the idea of prophecy or whatever. Kings doesn't mean men. It means kings. It means like a kingdom. But a kingdom doesn't mean a country or a nation. It could, but it doesn't. Because remember that the kings were horns? For both John and Daniel said that the 10 kings were 10 horns, or the 10 horns were 10 kings. And I'll just back that up by looking it up, because I think I should anyway. Verse 24, 7 verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. That has nothing to do with a government or a country or a Vatican or anything like that. Because which kind of kingdom are we talking about? But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume it, or to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. I think a lot of people don't understand that this is the end of a wicked time, and then it's going to be different. So it's an everlasting kingdom, And it's the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven. So they were horns. 10 kings were horns. That's what we just read in that verse. And in Revelation 13, I think, is where it says it also. Or no, it says it in 17, I think. Yeah, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So, what's the beast? The dragon gives it its power. It's really easy to follow that story. SpaceX Dragon resupplies the space station. So if you just... the story in the Bible is what it is. It says... it describes the space station. The feet of a bear, and the dragon gives it its power. It's the 8th mountain, the 8th wandering star that was and is not and yet is. It came up out of the bottomless pit, and it came up from the sea, because that's dark waters. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's too bad, Anthony, but hopefully you know how people have it these days, that there's a lot of stuff on people's shoulders, and I know all you guys know that. I mean, there's a lot of weight to carry in every, I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, maybe she's on a mission, Cindy says. Like, who knows? She could be figuring something out, or she could be tending to her family. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that sometimes take, priority, especially in the times we live in. Oh, that was another thing I was going to say. So all the people that would call me a conspiracy theorist or something like that over, or I don't know what the word they would use necessarily for being a flat earther or being crazy or whatever. What's a pandemic? Do you get what I'm saying? Who's crazy? Why are you staying at home? Why are you not going to work? Or maybe some of you are, but why is the world shut down right now? Can't really remember a time when this has happened. Good, Anthony. Oh, that's it, Cindy, that's encouraging. You do get what I'm saying, though, because actually that's really the point that is really important. I was saying on a video, this was an old video, and in the video I had said, don't interpret what John's saying, just listen to the words that he's saying. Like, we could go over something very simple, and we will. I might as well do a screen share, and we might as well do it. We're going to look at words having meanings, and we don't have to interpret anything, because we all took English class in elementary school. We understand how words get put together to make sentences. That's how we communicate. Let me do a screen share. Hopefully that's sharing, hopefully. Let's look at, let's go to Google, and let's go to Bible Hub, and let's look at Revelation 13 verse 13. How do you Or, whoops. What do you think about that? Simple verse, but we're going to look at it in the Greek. Just because you can't say that I'm interpreting something that basically you can't say it can be interpreted different than what the word means. Like if it says, here's another example. What Lucifer says in his heart in Isaiah 14, he says, I will ascend into heaven. It's the first thing that it says about okay, actually that's a better verse. We're going to go look at that one. That's even a better one. Just because it's straightforward. Like you can't come up with your own answer because there's already words that have meanings there. You can't change the meanings unless you don't want to believe what it says. I mean, or unless you want to, I don't know why you'd want to change the meaning of the words. So let's look at, whoops, I think it's verse 13. Hopefully you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, good. I'm kind of in the way, I'm sure, but I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up. Okay. 14 verse 13. Okay. For you have said in your heart, into heaven I will ascend. Above the stars of God, I will exalt my throne. Let's look at just where does he want to go? What does he want to do in his heart? Into heaven. This is the Shamayim, which is heaven, sky. If we look at the Strong's exhaustive concordance, it says air, astrologer, heavens. Look at celestial bodies revolve. It's where the celestial. Oh man, how could you guys not understand what the word heaven means? Okay, so Lucifer says in his heart, into the heavens, so up to the sky, the visible arch in which the clouds move, as well as to the higher ether where the celestial bodies revolve. Okay, this basically the part of the world that's above the world. It should be easy. Not surrounding some spinning ball. I'm saying you live in a world that's like this. There's always the ground, no matter where you look. It's like surrounds you on the bottom, but not on the top. On the top, it's the sky. It's not the ground. So I'm just trying to show you that you can't interpret this to mean like when it says heavens, you can't say, oh, that means toward the North Pole, or that means toward the east. No, it says heavens, heavens. So let's go back and look at, so into heaven, we know where that is. And now let's look what I will ascend means. The word is ALAH, to go up, ascend, climb. Same there. Arise up, cause to ascend up at once, break the day up, bring up, cause to burn, to ascend. Arise up, cause to ascend up, bring up, mount up. It only means one thing. It just means that way. So Lucifer wants to ascend into the sky. What ascends into the sky in 2020? Rockets do. Plandemic, Anthony says. Yeah, Cindy. It's just an example of the words. It's an observation and not an interpretation. So I'll make you guys do it with me. I'm gonna pull up a video here. Whoops. I guess I'll just video. How do I do that? Man, I'm terrible at this. Okay. I have to find a. I'm gonna make you bear witness to some of these things because it's an observation you can make. Here's an example. This will be a great example. Okay, this behind me is, I'll move over to the side. It doesn't matter what it is, but I'll read you what I believe is a description of it in Daniel. And you can decide whatever you want. But this is why I ever go on YouTube or anything, because if people don't understand what this is and what's evil about it, they don't even understand what sin is, like what wickedness is, what are defiled over. Let's see here. I'm just going to let that play, and I'm going to read you a couple verses. Okay. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Now, that's just the horn I think he's talking about, but so he sees something here. As I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. I could see this looking like if it was flying around. I don't know what else he has to compare it to. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Well, you know, in Revelation, that the thing that does that in Revelation, that it's the dragon and his tail. This little capsule is called a SpaceX Dragon. So it's a very bad thing, and people don't get it. But what I'm saying is, that's not me interpreting something. That's me only just pointing out, saying, hey, in the world, there's something that visually matches that description pretty well. It's flying, not touching the ground. And it's called dragon. And it's a little horn. It's conical shaped. There's a lot of things that and actually it goes up to the host of heaven. What else goes up to the host of heaven? Nothing. Rockets, spaceships. That's it. Yeah, it sends fire towards Earth to rise and land. Exactly, Cindy. And that's just something that's not an interpretation. That's just an observation that Cindy just made. Hey, look, it makes fire go down on Earth to rise and land. That's exactly what it does. And then we have other examples, which I will find one here. Whoops. I'll grab another example of the dragon's tail. Because, let's see, where's a good one? Oh, here's another good one. In Luke 10, verse 18, Jesus said something. I think he was talking about this. So that's the same capsule. This is an animation, but that's an animation of it coming back in and ripping its way back into the earth. And I think Jesus saw it already and told us about it. In Luke chapter 10, he says, Oops, that's 12. Sorry, guys. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. You are too. It's an animation, but you get the idea. But the dragon's tail. Let me find a video of that. There aren't as many good videos of the tail, because that's hard to actually catch on video very decent. I mean, they've done it really well, but let's see. Well, this is just a bad example of what it is, but that's the dragon's tail landing back on the earth. John saw that. Another verse we could look up. We could look up the Greek and the simple meanings of the words. John said that he saw a beast making fire. He saw it come up out of the earth first, speaking like a dragon, and it had 2 horns like a lamb. And let's look at another video. I'm just trying to give you, I'm trying to make it so you can observe the same things that I'm observing and realize that I'm not interpreting anything. John just said he saw something, and I'm saying, hey, I see it too. Where is that one I was looking for? Oh yeah, remember how that it plucked up 3 of the first horns by the roots? There's Falcon Heavy. Anyway. Oh, this is the one I was looking for. See those? That's the dragon's tail. Great iron teeth. Daniel saw that in Daniel 7 verse 7. And it stamped the residue with the feet of it. And he also said it was a ram. And if you look at that word in the Hebrew, it's like a column, or like a built-in column, pilaster, a post, a tree, and also a ram, the animal. So, interesting. Roaring of the engines, yeah, Cindy. Oh, that was just awful, wasn't it, Anthony? The debate between Nathan Thompson and Fight the Flat Earth. I started making a video about that, and I'm like, about the only thing you can do with those guys. Like Nathan, I mean, I totally get Nathan just being like, I'm done answering these stupid questions. Like the ones that are just, what you have is you have a little bunch of little second graders that are upset that they got the wrong answer. And when some kids in the class realize that it's the wrong answer, and they've all been realizing or believing the wrong answer and the wrong math and the wrong everything, they tend to want to tell the rest of the class. So that's what we're doing. And some of the people in the class have a fit. And so all they do is insult and you're a effing idiot, and not, all that. So anyway, that's the Falcon 9 rocket there. And yeah, that was... See, Fight the Flat Earth just is an abrasive person. And I can give you an example of why I would never debate him or wouldn't give that guy the time of day. Because he wants to make someone else look dumb instead of actually debating or talking. Because the example I'm going to give is when Nathan accidentally said something a little bit, not wrong even, just different than Fight the Flat Earth wanted to hear it, about rotation. So Nathan said, so you're rotating at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator or whatever. And he's like, no, you're not. You rotate at 15 degrees per hour. You don't rotate at a speed. And Nathan's like, well, you kind of do, because 24,000 miles circumference, one time per day, about 24,000 miles an hour, right? And Fight the Flat Earth just wouldn't. He just kept trying to say, I'm saying it's in degrees. Big deal. So you measure a circle in degrees? Great. If you're traveling around it, you might measure it in miles per hour. So the example is that Fight the Flat Earth just has something that he doesn't like about Flat Earth. But when it comes down to valid things being said, points being made, he just has to steer away from that. Nathan was clearly trying to point something out about Coriolis, and I think it's funny that Fight the Flat Earth doesn't realize that he believes two opposite, conflicting things at the same time, depending on which conversation you're having, which is funny. Oh, I got the accent? But Nathan, you're an idiot. That's all he said the whole time. Everything you just said is all wrong. I'm like, no, it's not. Just because you say it is, it's not. Doesn't even make any sense. They got an A for the wrong answer. Yeah, Roderick, they did. Iger Television, good to see you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just in a weird spot right now because the world is actually shut down. Like a lot of us have been talking about these kinds of things coming to pass. I mean, straight out of the Bible, there's a dragon flying in heaven. And the whole church community, or the whatever you want to call them, they got no idea about the dragon flying in heaven. And actually, when I tell them about it, they laugh at it. So they really believe what's in their Bible, don't they? Like, I'm not saying these are bad people, but there's something wrong with it's not that they aren't even hearing what the words are saying, what I've been saying. Like Cindy said, the thing makes fire go down to make it lift up. It's called thrust. So this rocket, which is like its third or fourth flight probably, lands back on the Earth to be reused again. And it can't do that unless it uses a big old ball of fire to do that. Otherwise it would crash. So it fires its engines, a couple of its engines, and slows itself down before it hits the Earth. And it comes down so fast that the sound from it doesn't come down till like 5-10 seconds later. And then there's 2 triple sonic booms. Boom, boom. Sonic boom. I don't think people really think about that one too much in the right way either. Sonic boom, that's just the speed, that's just breaking the sound barrier. Do you know what the sound barrier is? I don't even know what that is. Like the speed of sound. You're going into a different realm if you're going faster than the speed of sound. We all look at it as like a military, strength to be able to have jets that fly like that and stuff. Yeah, I'd say jets are pretty cool, but flying them to a point where there's so much friction and so much heat that it's dangerous, first of all. But what is the point of going that fast that you can go faster than the sound you're making? Think about that. It makes no sense. Something that makes sound is over there when it makes this sound here. Does that sound like our world? It's a part of another. It's like climbing into a part of the different realm. I'm not saying it's completely a different realm or something. You're still in your jet, and you're still moving very fast. Yeah, ludicrous speed. But so then when they go faster than that, because they do that on a rocket launch, they do that in the first minute. They're already going faster than the speed of sound, and you can see the I don't know what you call it, it's like basically it's almost like the fabric of the atmosphere is stretching around the point of the plane and you can visually see that. But when they do about more than 10 times faster, they're only able to do that because they're, for the most part, out of the air. And at that point, I think they're just flying with the angels or the stars. I mean, the stars go pretty fast. If you do a time lapse, the stars gotta be going pretty fast, because they'll go like, you know what I mean? They go, doesn't matter if they're close or far. I'm saying they're going over the ground really fast at some places. Really fast, if you think about it. And that's why people think the earth spins, because the sky spins. Oh, the sky spins? Oh, the earth must spin then. No. Come back to reality. The sky spins. So, I think, what was that? New Jerusalem, Mount Zion. That's up in the sky, guys. I'm just reading the comments here. Yeah, you're right, Anthony. It's about scientism. Oh, a new premiere on Celebrate Truth. That's one of the weird things. How come no one ever makes a video about the dragon? Like, I just saw on Celebrate Truth. Robbie is aware of this, I hope. How can you not be aware of it? Especially when you're a flat earther. And that's actually partially why. Because they're just like, oh, that's all fake up there. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not fake, but it's not Earth. It's not part of this world, but it's certainly not fake. And in the Bible, a city comes down from there at the end. So, oh, on plagues, okay. Yeah, we're getting plagues in this world. But yeah, it's like, to me, if John says that he saw a woman clothed with the sun, and everybody got all hyped up about it, because Virgo, it seems that was fulfilled. But then everybody went cuckoo, like it says right. I guess I thought I was going to be smooth and that I was going to have it right there. But is it in 2nd Esdras? I don't remember where it is. Let me look. I'm talking about where it says that the people in the world will become... Yeah, right here. Sweet. Well, this is one of them. Look, the time is coming when the signs appear that I told you about in advance. Revelation 12, guys. Okay? And the city will appear. appearing as a bride, and the land that is now hidden will be openly displayed. Flat Earth. That isn't actually the one I was going to read. Where was it? I think I already read some of it, but oh no, I didn't read this. Let me read 2nd Ezra chapter 6, starting in verse 17. When I heard, I rose on my feet and listened. There was a voice speaking, and its sound was like the sound of deep waters. It said, "Look, the days are coming when I will begin to come near to visit those who live on the earth. When I will begin to examine those who unjustly inflicted harm in their cruelty, when the humiliation of Zion is complete, when the seal is placed on the age that begins to pass away, I will perform these signs. Scrolls will be opened in the view of the firmament, and all will see together. Infants a year old will speak with their voices, and pregnant women will give birth to premature babies of 3 and 4 months, but they will live and dance. Fields that were not sown will suddenly appear sown, and full warehouses will suddenly be found empty." Sounds like the president's and all the governors scrambling to get medical equipment. Full warehouses will suddenly be found empty. A trumpet will sound with a blast. When all hear it, they will suddenly be terrified. In that time, friends will make war on friends like enemies. The earth, along with those who live in it, will be terrified, and the sources of the rivers will stand still so that they don't run for 3 hours. Then everyone who is left after all these things that I have foretold you will be saved. These will see my deliverance and the end of my age. They will see the people who have been taken up, who haven't tasted death from their birth. The hearts of those who live on the earth will be changed and converted to a different spirit. For evil will be erased and grief extinguished. Faith will flourish and corruption will be overcome. Truth that was without fruit for so long will be displayed. Flat Earth. Okay. 2nd Esdras chapter 13 is a vision of Jesus sending his spirit, or his angels, or whatever. But he sent his spirit to reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. That's what he said when he was walking the earth here 2,000 years ago. He said he would send his spirit, and when the spirit came, he would reprove us of sin. Okay. Check this out. After 7 days I had a dream during the night. I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea and stirring up all of its waves. As I watched, this wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. That sea. That man was flying among the clouds of heaven. See? Wherever he turned his face to look, everything that fell under his gaze trembled. Wherever an utterance came from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts when it feels the fire. I kept watching these things, and an innumerable multitude of people came together from the 4 winds of heaven to fight against the man who had come up from the sea. I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. I tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but I couldn't. Okay. So he uttered his voice, and the people that heard him melted like wax when it feels the fire. And then the people from all over the world, an innumerable multitude, came to fight against him. And then he carved out Mount Zion. Okay? And then he destroyed them with basically with the scriptures. But then he called himself another group. And yeah. 2nd Ezra 13 is a very interesting chapter. It's kind of a long chapter, but he sees a lot. And he sees, let's see, but he will take his stand on the summit of Mount Zion. Zion will come and will appear to all, built and ready, as you saw a mountain carved without hands. I'm here to tell you that Mount Zion is being openly displayed, or it is coming and appearing to all. Flat earth, guys. I don't understand how people don't believe this stuff. Oh yeah, he will destroy them without effort by the law, which was indicated by the fire. My son himself will indict the assembled nations for their impious deeds. So why did he show us flat earth, guys? There's people saying, oh, he just did that to wake us up so that we'd follow his commandments. He delivered us a commandment when he made us bear witness to the truth. So now we have to give our testimony about it. And hopefully people in the world can realize, they will be able to realize, or they already can, that he's done this. That's why I named this video. What did I name this video? I didn't get here by myself. None of these things that I'm talking about I had any interest in 5 years ago. It was him who took and made me understand certain things and gave me a different heart and a different spirit. Yeah, it is 2nd Ezra is an interesting book. God knew the beginning from the end, yes. And the end from the beginning, and it's all like that kind of explains what time is. He's not bound by time, and to try to comprehend that just is not easy. I'm gonna get rolling though, guys. War in heaven. It's all happening, so. No, I'm not. I guess I'm not on. Well, they have he asked me if I've been able to work. I haven't been working since whenever, like 15 days or something like that. No, not that many. Dragon in Heaven, September 23rd, 2017. All these things are happening. Like, I even think that there's more happening. Like, I think that some of the things John saw are happening, and it's hard to tell that they're happening if you don't, like, if your first instinct is, the Vatican's the beast, or all these things that people are saying. It's all wrong. You got to listen to what the prophets are saying. They're talking about it. I mean, I learned a lot from both of them, because they're telling us about the things in our world, and it's like really different than I expected. But where's God live? Up there. They're making an assault on God. Yes, Cindy Heeman says vibration of engines trembling. And Enoch 57, the turmoil that their wagons made, he saw men riding on the winds on wagons. And the turmoil that the noise from their wagons made moved the foundations of the earth out of their place. So when they do a rocket launch, and then if you go to Enoch chapter 60, it describes all the angels are, I think the word is disquieted, with a great disquiet, when the heavens shook and trembled, because let me play a video. I just want to plain example of what that is like. Obviously, a video doesn't do it justice, but this was the best video that I could find for that. And this is just someone's video from YouTube. And they're like 8 miles away from this launch. And notice the sound doesn't come for a long time. Yeah, that's some good advice, Roderick. He says, take this time to pray and read scripture, apocrypha, and whatever else, even closer to Yah. See how long it is there's no sound? That's how far away they are from that rocket. But you'll start to hear the sound, and it consumes. It was Natsuri Marlin. I don't remember how to say it, but Nat is what I call him now. He said he went to a space shuttle launch, and it shook his chest, and he was 6 miles away. He said it shook his chest. But this is that trembling, or this is what that's talking about, Cindy. Came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and coming on the winds from the east and from the west to the south. And the noise of their wagons was heard, and when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it, and the pillars of the earth were moved from their place. And the sound thereof was heard from one end of heaven to the other in one day. And then it says, in the year 500, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of the month, in the life of Enoch, in that parable I saw how a mighty quaking made the heaven of heavens to quake, and the host of the Most High, and the angels, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, were quieted with a great disquieted with a great disquiet. So that's when Michael tells him, oh yeah, this is the last day of the Lord's long suffering, because of what happened. It shook the heavens, and that'll be the end. That'll be the end of the world as we know it, anyway. See, it's fighting with the four angels holding back the four winds. Crazy, guys. It's a crazy world. Alright, I'm going to get out of here, though. Yeah, the book of Jasher is awesome. It is a deep book. Enoch was something else, huh? Hey, Jess Jonah's mom. Yep, that's good stuff there. Men on wagons? I don't know, Cindy. She says, is this still to happen, men on wagons? I don't know. I think that's... My mind goes to the space shuttle with that. But it's supposed to be like this next month, they're going to be launching that Dragon 2 with astronauts to the space station. So that would technically kind of be men riding on the four winds or whatever. Thanks, Iger Television. Alright, guys. I didn't have all too much to say. Like, I can't put my thoughts together lately and get them to make any sense. Just because there's so much going on. So much stuff going on. It's like, where do you start? I mean, people don't even understand that this, or what do I have on there? People don't even understand that this is war in heaven. In the Shamaim, dragon in heaven. That's in their Bible. And like, people call themselves watchmen. Yeah, I'm a watchman. What? You're not watching, man. If you're a watchman, read what John said. He said there was a dragon up in heaven. He saw it. So yeah. Oh, cool. You're gonna go live later, Iger? I'll try to click on it. I'm gonna get going, Anthony. But I'm working on a couple things in the background. Not so successful on some of them, but I got some kind of fun videos coming up. But I always say that. So, all right, you guys hang in there and don't worry about the condition of the world, because it was written it was going to get this way, and it was going to even get worse. So prepare for worse. Trust in the Lord. Call on his name, and you got nothing to worry about. All right, you guys have a good one.